Good morning, church. It's another beautiful day, and for those that continue to participate in these 7-minute devotions, I'm really thankful, and I hope that you are getting some great spiritual food to help you in your own spiritual walk as you ponder and think upon the things that I have to share with you. So let's begin. In July of 2019, something happened that radically changed my life. Any guesses of what that might be? Some of you guys might be thinking, did Pastor go on a really awesome vacation? Or maybe Pastor got a girlfriend in July of 2019. Or maybe Pastor met a really famous celebrity. Or maybe in a more serious tone, did Pastor get in a car accident? Or did Pastor drop a few $100s on the sidewalk and then someone never returned it? Or maybe they did return it. Now, before I let your imagination run too wild, in July of 2019, I became a father to a cat named Mango. Now, a lot of you will remember Mango because when she first became a part of my family of one, she was really small. She was actually the runt of a litter, and her mom and her dad had passed away and was being taken care of by a caretaker. Now, because Mango was so small, I felt really uncomfortable with just leaving her at home. And so I brought her to church on a Sabbath and just left her in my office. Now, growing up, because of my mom's allergies to anything that basically had fur on it, I wasn't able to grow up with any of the popular normal pets like dogs or cats. Instead, we had a few other options if we wanted a pet. Some of those were like freshwater fish, some turtles, and occasionally there was a bird and maybe a hamster, but it had to be kept very separated from my mom. And there was one time, I don't know if this was a joke or not, but I remember having a battery operated dog, one of those robotic dogs that just bark. But anyway, when I moved here to California, I lived alone, obviously. 2016, I was here by myself, doing my thing, going to school. But after a while, I started to get really lonely. Not in the sense of, I wish I had a girlfriend kind of lonely, but more in the sense that I missed this feeling of coming home to something. Right? And I'm sure when you get older, especially when you get into college, or maybe into your young adult life, you'll start to realize this more and really take this for granted. But when you live alone and you have a really long day, whether it be at school or work or whatever you're doing, it's really nice to be able to come home to the chatter of people, conversations, to the warmth of the home, or maybe the home cooking and the smells, right? Just coming home to something as special as that, really, we take it for granted, or I took it for granted for sure. And that was something that was really on my mind all the time, because I remember many evenings after studying all day, working at a church and coming home, it would be dark, cold, no smells, nothing. And me being very frugal and cheap, I wouldn't even turn on all the lights. I would just turn on a few lights, very momentarily. I would wash in the dark, and then I would just go to sleep. You see, what I longed for during that time was this kind of intimacy or some kind of welcoming, something that I could come home to and feel welcome, that I could feel like I belonged somewhere. You see, before I got Mango, I really had to think long and hard, because I knew that if I were to get Mango, there would be a lot of responsibilities, a lot of things to worry about, right? It was almost as if I was going to raise a kid, right? Taking her to her vet appointments, making sure that she ate and I cleaned up after her, playing with her and spending time with her. There were so many things that had to be done. But one day in the middle of the summer, I just thought, man, I need to get a cat. I'm going to get a cat, right? And ever since then, it's been truly a joyful experience. Of course, there have been many ups and many downs in dealing with a cat and learning a lot of things about raising a cat. But overall, it's been very joyful and very fulfilling. Now, some of you might think I'm crazy, but really, when I say Mango has become a part of family for me, it's literally as if she was my own child. You see, the other day I went shopping for myself, grocery shopping. And afterwards I decided, well, maybe I need to go shopping for Mango as well. And I was thinking about maybe some things that she could need and want. And so I bought a bunch of treats and some stuff, some furniture for her. And I ended up spending more money on her than I did for myself. And I remember as I was shopping, I was thinking like, man, I really appreciate and value Mango so much that I'm so willing to do all of these things just for her because I value her so much. You see, I share this example with you because I don't have a human child, but in many ways, more than not, having a cat is really like having a child. And it gives me this very vivid and clear analogy of how beautiful our relationship is with God and truly how God sees us and how he values us. If you look in Galatians 4, 6, and 7, Paul says this. He says, because you are his sons, God sent the Spirit of his Son into our hearts, the Spirit who calls out, Abba, Father. You are no longer a slave, but God's child. And since you are his child, God has made you also an heir. You see, you are God's child. And because you are his child, he has a very special place in his heart for you. You see, God wants to have this intimate relationship with you. Galatians says that, or Paul says, Abba, Father. And you see, Abba also means father, but it's a more intimate, much closer kind of calling out to Father, right? You would say this only if you were really close with this figure. But you see, God places this wonderful desire in our hearts to want to call out to him as Abba, Father, to have this beautiful relationship and bond with him. You see, you're not just a child, you're his child. And that's what makes it so special, because the God of this universe, the God of the galaxies, wants you to be his. But not only that, God wants to make us an heir to him. And being an heir means that he wants us to receive all the blessings, all the love, everything that he has in store for you and I. You see, when I think about this verse, it's a reminder of how much God values you and me. Just in the same way that you would do anything and everything for something that is so dear and so close and so valuable to you, God wants to do the very same thing for you and so much more. So remember this, we worship a God that values you beyond what we could ever imagine because you are his child.